Welcome to this week's almost abstract weekly outdoor news. My name is Rob Yates. I am one of your hosts tonight, and tonight I am joined by the eggs if I am bacon, by the Churchill if I am Roosevelt, by the credit for my card, by the brains to my brawn, by Marco Polo if I am Christopher Columbus, Mr. Mark Hopkins. Evening, Hoppy House World.
Marco Polo, Christopher Columbus. That's my favourite one this week.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I quite liked you being the credit to my card. Put money in my back pocket, boy.
Depends who pays off the credit card each month.
Yeah, just put it on my card. Don't worry about it. I know it's your card's your problem. Anyway, this evening on the Outdoor Weekly News, we're going to talk about my damn fine new white smart We Get Outdoors shirt. We're also going to talk about Mark's shirt that says, "Don't buy a TV." That's right, folks, don't buy a TV and spend your money on something decent. We're also going to talk about why somebody hates Australia, how to get more out of the outdoors, a picture of the week, what to buy your father for Father's Day. Sorry, Dad. What camp gadgets you like, and how you can get paid $20,000 a year just to go hiking. Check that out.
You missed the best part of it. It's not just $20,000. It's $20,000 and free beer.
And free beer.
And free beer.
I have to admit, I would go hiking just for free beer.
Yes, not the money. Especially if it was...
Oh, yeah. And actually, in many parts in the US, they have phenomenal microbreweries at this point in time. And so we can get Guinness and better than Guinness all at free beer. Barry
Imagine
Hughes...
having to hike the Appalachian Trail while carrying free beer. That must be a proper bitch.
That would suck. Barry Hughes just said that he's joining us live tonight. Hey, Barry, how's the world? Barry Hughes just went free beer. Like, Barry's not interested in the money either. Just take the free beer.
Free beer.
As I said to my wife on our second date, as she looked at my sixth pint of beer, I'm like, but I quite like beer. Somehow she still married me, mostly because she took pity on me and had to carry me home.
Beers actually have got me through one of the worst dates I ever had in my life, and it necessitated me drinking about 8 pints of Guinness just to cope.
Really?
It was that bad a date. And you can tell how bad a date was. 8 pints of beer, she drank half a glass of white wine during the same period of time. Guess who was doing all the talking?
Well, there we go. Do I know who it was?
No.
That's so disappointing. That's Jason Brown says more about free beer. So here's the thing. For those of you who are watching this, the recorded version, either on the We Get Outdoors Tribe or on YouTube or listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Libsyn, Spotify, or anywhere else where this is distributed, you can come and put your 2 pennies worth or $1 worth in, or 3 rands worth, or whatever you like. I don't care what currency. Your comments and thoughts into the weekly news, and we'll engage with you so you can be live and have your 30.36 seconds of fame. Jason says free beer, how and where. Jason, wait till the end. Article number 6 we're going to talk about tonight is about how you can earn a ridiculously large amount of money and get free beer and just get it all for going hiking. So stay tuned if you'd be interested in how free beer and a large chunk of change, and I mean large chunk of change, just to go hiking. What an opportunity.
What a job.
Now, Mark, tonight I chose tonight's first piece of news to speak about, and I speak about it with a slight degree of trepidation, and I'm not too sure if the guy who we're going to talk about now, I'm not too sure whether he's a genius or a fool. I'm not too sure.
Or alive or dead.
Or alive or dead, or he may well be dead after this. In fact, should we just name him just whilst we can? Because we named somebody last week.
I think also we should name him and tell all border security people in this country to watch out for him, because you know how strict this country is at letting people into their country.
That's very true. That's very true. So there is a backpacker, an American backpacker from Texas called Tristan Kuhn, who went backpacking in Australia. And
first mistake.
yeah, they went backpacking in Australia. So that's I guess they've got cheap lager. No, they actually got really expensive beer.
They don't. And
Anyway.
they're really antisocial as well. They ban you from drinking if you look too happy. Did I tell you that story?
Is this where you stepped out of a bar with a smile on your face and a bottle of beer in your hands?
No, I'd been locked up. I was at the Commonwealth Games. So I've been locked up in this village for 2.5, 3 weeks. And finally, we allowed ourselves out of the village to go into the Gold Coast to have a beer. So you can imagine a British man who hasn't been in a pub for 3 weeks.
Oh, dear.
I walked into this pub with the biggest smile on my face, literally bouncing to the bar to get my first beer. And the barman looked at me and goes, "Sir, have you been drinking?" I was like, "No." He goes, "Sir, I think you're drunk. I'm not going to serve you. You're not, please leave." So I've never been kicked out of a pub before for being happy, but in Australia, you get kicked out of a pub for being happy.
Jeepers. Well, this guy, yeah, that's very true. Oh, don't go back. This guy, Tristan, went backpacking in Australia in end of 2019, and he stuck a video on YouTube saying the 10 things Americans hate about Australia, and went on to list them. Now, I do hope that he doesn't want to go back to Australia because he might get lynched, because the Australians tend to be quite a patriotic bunch, which is understandable for criminals. Get the dig in there straight away, which is understandable for criminals. And so he got in there and he started battering Australia. He battered things like the slow Wi-Fi speed. Now, I have to be honest, when I go backpacking and I put my rucksack on my back, I have a zero expectation for Wi-Fi, and anything of any speed at all is a win, isn't it?
His first complaint is about slow Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So I mean, did he have a it must be slow because it was making him walk slow with his backpack on because of the fiber lead that he was trailing around behind him the whole time,
all
and
the way from
the router and whatever else that was in his backpack, and he had his MacBook out in front of him, like checking internet speed checking the entire time.
Oh, that's a
anyway.
What else did he complain about?
So that, and then he about the aggressive flies, which he described as pesky and annoying. Precise words. The bugs in general get in your face. They're annoying, but the flies are aggressive. You know, when they hit you in the face, they hit you hard. Well, I have to say, Tristan, you must be walking at quite a pace for flies to hit you hard. It must be like two vehicles traveling at 30 miles an hour, and therefore they have like a 60 mile an hour impact in the middle. Something like that. Anyway.
It's always like a little bit of confusion, isn't it? Because he has to travel quite fast to have aggressive flies, but then he has to travel slowly to get slow Wi-Fi. What is he's confused, this boy?
I don't know. It's all a bit bizarre. Now, the next thing he whinges about is compulsory, I was just going to laugh, is compulsory helmet wearing. So apparently in Australia, it is the law that all people who ride bikes must wear a helmet. And if you don't, you face a hefty fine if you disobey. Now, I understand that. I've also seen Neighbours and Home and Away. And most Australians that I see wear their helmet like tilted back on their head with their forehead still fully exposed. And we both know, and all of you clever people know, that your frontal lobes here are the things that are going to really screw up your life if you smack the ground. Like if you top of your head, you'll be all right, mostly. If you screw up this bit here and this bit here. And so if you're just going to copy the Australians and wear a helmet on your head, you may as well not wear a helmet in the first place. But like, really? You're criticizing a law that could save your life if you wear your helmet properly. Hang on a second.
It's like here the law is you have to wear your mask. But everyone just wears them around their neck. I love that fact. I'm still wearing my mask, but it's around my neck.
I've got it on. We'll carry on. Perfect. Right. He actually said that the Australian government had overstepped the mark. Oh, there's a dig to get get that man when he goes back to Australia one day. He's going to go through customs in the airport, and they're going to take him off to that room on one side, and they're asking him to face the wall and put 2 hands on the wall and drop his trousers, and all he's going to hear is plastic gloves going snap as the customs officers pull them back for a rectal investigation.
And then they say, take a deep breath. Please no.
Yeah, that's it. Other things he grumbled about is no free refills. Well, America's the only country I've ever been to that does free refills. So no free refills. He grumbles about speed cameras, which I'm pretty sure they have. In fact, I'm damn sure they have speed cameras in America, because I've been nobbled by a speed camera in Washington State. So I know what you're grumbling about there. And then he grumbles about nobbled, caught. Yes. Nobbled by the law, sir. And then the last thing on his list that he grumbles about, that I'm going to bother talking about before we move on, before I bore you all, is he has to walk inside of the petrol station to go and pay for his gas. And there's often a line, a queue of people. It's an extra few minutes in your world. Maybe you could talk to one of those people and have a comical or amusing conversation. I don't know.
You know, when you get to an end of a news piece and you realise we should never have talked about this because we're giving a dickhead airtime.
Well, I was just actually about to say, what a knob.
Yeah. Move on fast. He's got a few points, though. Australia is a police state. It is. But it's a lot safer. I'm not a fan of Australia.
No. I know some very nice Australians, all 4 of them.
And they all live in England or anywhere else. They don't live in Australia.
That's it. Anyway,
Australians have left.
So I think we should draw some lessons for this. If you ever wish to become back on get let back into a country somewhere, whatever you do not go and put in do not go and do a YouTube video about why you hate that country if you want to get back in. So there we go. Next up in this week's news is how to increase your connection with nature, or to nature.
Walk naked.
And like, people could go and check out the interview you did with EJ Snyder, who's won Naked and Afraid 3 times. I'll put the link somewhere here. Anyway, how to increase your connection with nature. Now, the article's quite long, it's quite lengthy, but one bit really, really stands out to me. And that really is what you can learn from the indigenous people of the country that you're in. Now, if you're in England, you probably are part of the indigenous people, so you might not have much to offer.
I'm not going to be allowed back into England now.
I'm not allowed back to England. You're right. But indigenous people, what can we learn from them? And when I think about, we're obviously white guys in South Africa. There's a whole bunch of indigenous people here. Who they are and where they are and what they are is a bit debatable, because they all kept fighting each other and moving around as nomads most of the time. But there's stuff there. In Australia, we obviously have the Aborigines, and in North America, we have the Native American Indians. If that's the right pronouns to use in this oversensitive world, I'm really not too sure. But you kind of get what I mean. If I've offended you, I'm sorry. Just correct me in the comments and we'll move on. But one thing, Mark, how to increase your connection with nature is actually to go and spend some time learning from indigenous people. And I've got a bit of a story from an indigenous person in Australia with regards to the Australian wildfires that happened, was it last year, 2019, early 2020?
Yeah.
So we're back. And as you all know, the wildfires in Australia decimated a large part of Australia, caused massive havoc. And if you were affected by it, I'm truly sorry. Something's very, very interesting, though, I read in this article, and that is that the indigenous people of Australia, who I believe are the Aborigines, they used to have controlled fires to burn off all of the branches and leaves that have fallen to the ground and just sat there. And those are the things that fueled the Australian fires. And what they used to do is they used to start a fire in a very small circle with them stood in the middle. So you imagine 8 guys and they set a fire in a circle about them. Then they used to fan the fire outwards. What that did is several things. They used to do it yearly. So they used to burn off all that dead leaves and whatever else to stop them all accumulating into massive piles and then forming, a massive tinderbox to set light to. But equally, by fanning a fire out in a circle, you give all of the wildlife the opportunity to move away from the fire. Whereas what happens with forest fires is often they form V's that encompass all of the animals, and then they actually close the animals out and lots of animals die. And so how to increase your connection with nature? Well, first of all, you can just go and take time to sit and be and observe what's going on about you. And if you come on an adventure program with me of any sort, you'll find that we spend quite a lot of time working out what's going on about us and how we can keep ourselves safe through what we observe. And when I've taken groups to quite hectic third world countries, we do things like going and sitting in a bar or a coffee shop or something for a couple of hours on the first afternoon there, just to observe the hecticness of what's going on about you and acclimatize. So go and observe nature, but equally go and find somebody who comes from that place and go and spend some time with them, and don't pretend to be an expert. Go and spend some time with them and listen to them, ask them questions. Don't judge them. Nick Cunliffe's just joined us on the news tonight, and if I was to go back to the UK and go sea kayaking on Anglesey, haven't been to Anglesey to go sea kayaking for probably 8 or 9 years now, I'd go and spend a day with Nick, and I'd go and find out what's new, what's changed, what's the same, what didn't I know from previous, and go and engage with a local. And I think all too often we want to go it alone, and that's cool in some places, but locals have a huge amount to offer as well. So go and put some business in the way of that local to get their take on what's going on about you. Mark, what do you do to engage more with nature?
I went to Kenya a few years ago, and there's lots of stories about this Kenya trip, but eventually we got invited to stay in the kraal, the village, with these Maasai, the local Maasai villagers, and there was a wedding. And the day of the wedding, without knowing it, the Morans came into the village, and the Morans are the local army. So on the BBC things, you see all these guys jumping up and down. So that's the Morans. These are the guys who have to kill a lion to become a Moran and stuff like that. And I spent a whole day with them at this wedding, and it was just fascinating understanding their lives. Obviously, they are the army; they protect the villagers, and they were very, very accommodating, but were very adamant that in all conversations you're not allowed to have a camera anywhere near them, because their beliefs were, if you take a photo of a camera near Moran, it reduces their spirit, because you're not present, because you're thinking about a photo that you're going to be able to share somewhere else, and therefore takes away the power of the Moran. Wow. It was just as you apply that to our world around, we have so many times where this in the future, and like you said, in observing, you actually take on board a lot more. So it's very interesting. Meeting Morans was one of my highlights. It was absolutely fascinating.
Super cool. Well, that takes us neatly on to our We Get Outdoors Tribe Picture of the Week. This is where we celebrate somebody who has put up a remarkable image that Mark and I both love. And really, it's Mark gloves, and I have little choice in the matter. But this week, Mark, who is the winner?
So I have an honorary mention this week for a photo that. So there's a winner and there's an honorary mention. The honorary mention goes to a gentleman who I know very, very well. And it's not one of his photos, but it was a photo that made me laugh and squirm at the same time. This gentleman, whose name is Rob Yates, put a photo of a bear leaning on a park table waiting for me. So the honorary mention for the funniest photo of the week goes to Mr. Rob Yates. But the winner of the pick of the week is Jeanette Davenport. And I have no idea where in the US this is, but it was a photo taken of Clear Creek State Park. So I have absolutely no idea where this Clear Creek State Park is. But it was just it's a little bit like the photo that's behind you now. But so clear lake, reflections, it just reminded me a little bit of what we're talking now with connection to nature. I could just imagine myself sat at the edge of that lake, looking at the reflections and being as still and quiet as possible, seeing animals come down to the water's edge. So yeah, Jeanette Davenport, Clear Creek State Park. So if someone's listening and knows where Clear Creek State Park is before Rob finds it on the internet, because I can see him searching now.
I've just Googled it. I know where it is.
Where is it?
It is in Pennsylvania.
There we go. It looks pretty cool, eh?
I think, Mark, we're going to have we've got a cool thing where we're going to be setting Mark challenges to do coming up, which you're all going to get to play with and engage with and have fun with. I think, Mark, you should make a record of all of these amazing places that you see and whatever else. And we should make it our mission to go to a whole bunch of these places.
Done.
And then Jeanette can come hiking with us in Clear Creek State Park for the day or something.
And then we can go swimming in that lake, because we're both doing these cold shower things at the moment. So whatever the weather is, we're going to be brave enough to do it, or stupid enough.
It is. I'm losing weight while doing these cold showers. It's kind of bizarre. I've got a clothing problem at the moment. I have to be honest, I've got a clothing problem. My clothing problem is I'm too skinny for my current clothes, but too fat for the next sizes down.
So the dilemma is, do you carry on losing weight, or do you get fat again?
Well, that's it, isn't it? Because when I went hiking on Saturday afternoon down by the river with our friend Kenneth,
weren't doing,
which I wasn't doing. Really, I was in my mind. No matter how tight I did my belt up, my pants kept dropping down. But I ended up looking like a gangster rapper. I had like my down with my bum crack and my boxer shorts showing. Well, that's a pretty sight, isn't it?
That doesn't say. Luckily, I've only got one last sip of my Guinness, because anything else, and I might have been put off my beer.
Oh, no, we wouldn't want that to happen, would we? Okay, right, on to number 4 of the week. This week is the Father's Day gifts. Mark, tell me about Father's Day gifts.
I just looked at this. I have no idea when Father's Day is. Apparently, it's coming up quite soon in South Africa, but I have no idea in the rest of the world. But I was just thinking, not that my boy ever buys me anything, so you can get the sob story out and the violin now. But I was just thinking about, carry on, the world's smallest violin. Yes, well done. I was just thinking about what kind of things would we want to have if we could tell our children what to buy for Father's Day. What would be the top of our list?
Oh, I know. What would
be the top of your list for Caitlin to buy you?
I want 2, I'm greedy, 2 Grundfos Brooks axes at this point in time.
Good. 2, 1 for each hand.
No, different. So I want the carpenter's axe, because I like doing woodwork, and I like the forest axe as well, because I like that for bushcraft, trees, splitting wood, etc., etc., etc. How about you?
So how many hints have you dropped?
Yeah, we can't get them to South Africa, so I'm a bit stuffed at this point in time. It needs a trip to Europe or the US, and it coming back in my bag. Oh, are you still there?
There we go. Yep.
Oh, good. What would you like, Mark, for Father's Day if you could drop the world's largest unsubtle hints? Well, you gave me some advice yesterday. I am in the market for some really good merino wool thermals. Ooh, I'd like some new ones of those as well.
I bought one in my last one I bought in New Zealand. Now, New Zealand's a country to visit, much better than Australia. And I bought a really good thermal in 2005. So 15 years ago, I bought this thermal, and it has lasted me 15 years, but it is now, it has the same effect on my body as going into the cold ocean does. So I need some new thermals. So I'd love, if anyone listening as well recommends some really good merino wool thermals, put them in the comments, because I would love to go and have a look at them and test if Yates's recommendation comes up or not.
Depends how good people are. That's what I reckon. So moving on, we have 15 gadgets to kick off the camping season. And I guess that links into, Mark, what it is you'd like, because you'd like a new merino wool thermal to kick off the camping season. But there is some, I'm just flicking through this article here. There is some we'll put the link, by the way, beneath the episode or in the notes for the episodes. You go check it out for yourself. There's some super cool stuff here. Like there's a stove.
I know.
There's a stove that you can cook food on that generates electricity that you can plug your phone or iPad or lights into to charge them.
There's some proper cool stuff on there.
That's genius. What's your favourite one off this list, Mark?
I went with just simple stuff, to be honest. I'm going through a phase of tools at the moment, and there's some quite cool like multi-tools in there that I really see the value of. So again, I was going multi-tool because something that I could camp, hike, carry with me. So that was my favourite. What's yours? Apart from the stove.
Well, I'm quite taken by the stove. Obviously, the female urination device isn't something that particularly is appealing to me.
But you never know. If you want to have manners, be a gentleman in the bush.
Oh, I just have a spare one in my jacket pocket. Here you are, man. I'll give you the ability to stand up and pee at a tree. I have to tell you a funny story about this. I have to say a funny story. So I've got a really good friend called Anna. Anna's a Kiwi girl. She now lives back in New Zealand in Timaru, which is outside Dunedin on the South Island of New Zealand. But she worked for me for about 10 years in the UK. And we're super cool friends, big friends. We've done loads of expeditions together. And we did one expedition in the middle of winter in Scotland, a canoe expedition. It was freezing. We're wearing dry suits, and she hadn't managed to get a dry suit that had a flap for ladies to go for a pee. So she bought herself a shiwi because she was adamant that in the freezing cold, she wasn't going to unzip the dry suit and take it all off to go for a wee. She just wanted to be able to do what I did, which was stand up and pee. So she bought herself a shiwi, and she didn't do any learning of how to use it. It was like the first time she used it, she like took the cellophane wrapper off the outside. It was that sort of new. And she disappeared off to go and give it a go, give it a try. And this is day 2 of a 10-day expedition that we're on. Sharing a tent together, sharing a canoe, the whole 9 yards. And all I hear in her best Kiwi accent is, "Oh, fuck it, I've just pissed in my dry suit." And apparently, because I'm a guy and I can't get to grips with, I have no idea what apparently you have to get a really good seal in a special way around a shiwi to go and use it effectively. Otherwise, you just have urine going everywhere. Anyway, there's my...
Well, that's another pleasant topic of conversation for tonight.
There we go.
Your bum crack and weeing in the dry suit.
Weeing in a dry suit. And as you know, like, when you get water in a dry suit, the only way to get it out is to take the whole dry suit off. It's freezing cold. All of your clothes inside the dry suit are now drenched in urine. And you've got 8 days left of an expedition to do where there's no laundry or anything else like that. That's... Yes, there we go. Frankly, for me, out of this list, it's got to be the stove.
How's the tent?
What tent? Oh,
how was sleeping in the tent after that?
I made a change outside of the tent and put her camp thermals on, and then come into the tent. She shivered a bit because she was planning on wearing some of her dry suit thermals in the tent as well. But I wasn't having that. I did all the cooking, and she slept in. She cuddled up in her sleeping bag to stay warm. So there we go. Right, on to the story of the day, though, Mark. Some gadgets. Go check the article out. There's quite good gadgets in there. And frankly, if I could light a fire and charge my iPhone whilst making a cup of coffee, that would be genius. But I want to talk about the story of the day. Now, in big businesses, you have titles like CEO, Chief Executive Office, CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, CFO, Chief Financial Officer. But how would you like to earn $20,000 for being the Chief Hiking Officer on the Appalachian Trail and get free beer?
This has got to be the best job in the world. There can't be anything better than this.
No, like I know that it'll take 6 months to hike the Appalachian Trail, which means that you're earning like less than $2,000 a no. Holy smoke, that's quite a lot of money, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's like 3 6s are 18. That means you're earning over $3,000 a month for hiking the Appalachian Trail, where your overheads are nothing other than food. And exactly. You get free beer.
But to talk to me, tell me about what are the roles and responsibility of a chief hiking officer?
I have no idea, because it's just a video that I'd have to watch right now to tell you, but we could just make a few up.
Go for it.
We can make we could talk about
naming all the bears that you see.
That's it. So a bear identification and naming. I think we could have
you can't call them Yogi.
The first one will be Yogi, second one will be Boo Boo. I think we could have I think that the person should find a partner of somebody who they particularly fancy, and they should christen every campsite on the Appalachian Trail in the intimate way. I think that would be a role and responsibility I could engage with.
Definitely. And learn how to use that shiwi thing.
Learn how to use the shiwi. I assuming there's a part in here which actually involves you engaging with other hikers on the trail. But
overrated.
But Devil Backbone Brewing Company is going to sponsor you or employ you to be the chief hiking officer of the Appalachian Trail. If you don't know what the Appalachian Trail is, it's a east coast of the USA trail that's, I think, about 2,500 miles long. I might be wrong about that, but it's about that in length. And it takes, roughly 6 months to go do. And so we're going to put the link below for this. If you want to apply to earn $20,000 to go and hike the Appalachian Trail, I will be a referee for you. Mark will be a reference for you, because you're going to have references. And we'd love it if a We Get Outdoors tribe member got that job.
Oh, imagine that. Imagine how many people are going to apply for that job.
It's like you and I, Mark, in a part of our day job, get involved in sales and marketing quite extensively. And like, it is a marketing stroke of genius.
Yeah.
Because Devil Backbone Brewing Company has just asked me to say their name 3 times by accident, because I'm so amazed by the fact they're going to give somebody $20,000 to go hiking. Like, they've just had 2 bits of free publicity from me. Yeah.
They're going to generate like $1 million worth of advertising for $20,000 spent.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely genius.
It is absolutely incredible.
If we were 10 years younger without kids and stuff like that, we would be fighting for this job.
Yes, I have to admit, I was quite tempted by it. But I would also like to stay married for a little while longer. Rachel Hiley says, if you get the Shiwi extension pipe and crimp the end, you can write your name in the snow with a Shiwi. and Rachel Hiley, there speaks the voice of experience.
What the story behind how she found that out must be brilliant, and it probably involves at least alcohol. What is this? How do you work that out? That's what I want to know.
Well, I happen to know Rachel quite well, and if there wasn't alcohol involved, I'd be quite surprised. I'd be quite surprised. So there we go. This brings us to the end of this week's Almost Abstract Outdoor Weekly News, our satirical abstract take on random stuff we found in the outdoors over the past 7 days. If you want to join us live and have your 0.036 seconds of fame as I mention your name for no apparent reason within the news, or Mark mentions it as well, go join the We Get Outdoors tribe. It's completely cool, completely free. You can go and join the link below. And we put up loads of really cool inspirational stuff, with our purpose being to get you out in the outdoors having adventures more often. All the links for tonight's episode will be in the notes below when you watch this, Facebook, YouTube, iTunes. And we'd really ask that if you have any enjoyment at all out of this, please go hit subscribe and leave us a comment. And if you don't like it at all, go leave us a comment and tell us that as well, because we love negative press. Like, come on. I tried the other week introducing Mark as, who did what's her name? Monica Lewinsky to my Bill Gates. No, not my Bill Gates.
Okay.
There's a scandal.
Now you're opening.
Now there's a lawsuit on the way. No, Monica Lewinsky to my Bill Clinton. It's been live. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people have watched it. And nobody's given me any bad criticism for it, which either means you find it funny, disturbing, or frankly, you just agree that Mark looks like Monica Lewinsky, which is always a possibility. So here we are at the end of the news. Anything from you to wind this up and finish this off, Mr. Hopkins?
I'm going to go and do my hair and put my makeup on.
You get on your knees. Right, that's it from us. Stay awesome, having an amazing week further. If you want to join me tomorrow evening or tomorrow daytime, I don't know, depending where you are. If you're in Europe, it'll be tomorrow evening. If you're in the US, it'll be tomorrow lunchtime-ish. I am interviewing Lauren Arthur, who is a TV presenter and an explorer and a World Wildlife Fund voice and all sorts of stuff. Say again?
She's a voice ambassador. A
voice ambassador for the World Wildlife. I'm interviewing her on tomorrow, and on Friday, Mr. Hopkins is going to interview me about my thoughts about the outdoors, what we can get out of it, how we can get more out of it, why we bothered with We Get Outdoors in the first place, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And both of those will be live in the We Get Outdoors tribe. So join the tribe and come learn more, find more, and frankly, we'll just try to amuse you a little bit. So that's it from me. I get outdoors.
You get outdoors.
I guess that means we get outdoors. It's good night from me.
You got it right.